Hi again. Hi everyone. Sorry about that. I'm having like massive internet problems in my house. And so we are in the process, as in today, hardwiring internet throughout my entire house with all this tech stuff or whatever. There's a guy in my basement, and I was just like, I can't get internet upstairs. And he's like, isn't that why we're doing this? I'm like, it's so strange. Like, I've never had a problem until probably the last month and a half. And all of a sudden, like, it goes down all the time. And so I'm like, it can't. Like, I cannot have it go down. So we had all these boxes and all this stuff brought in, and it's all being hardwired everywhere into my house now. Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, literally, I'm going to have, like, the craziest internet Wi-Fi ever.
It should never go down again.
No, it can't. Like, and it will reach every corner and all the way out into the yard.
Oh, bonus.
Yeah, it's so cool. How is everyone?
Hello. Happy birthday, Heidi.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know, I had the greatest birthday. So everyone's always like, it's like, why did you get married the day after, or the day before your birthday? Because it's like, I have my anniversary on the 25th, and then I have my birthday on the 26th. And the 25th used to be was my Nana's birthday.
Oh, yes.
So she passed away. And so I wanted her day to still be really special. And so that's why we got married on her birthday, so that we could still always celebrate the 25th. So yeah, so for me, it's always like this massive celebration in June.
Yeah, I have that. My birthday's the 7th, and we got married on the 8th.
Oh, so you're the exact same thing.
Yeah,
No,
it just happened that way.
Kind of cool. So how is everyone? Double and Jen, I actually got to see you this week, which was kind of cool. Jen came to Toronto and stopped by and had coffee with Michelle and I, which was so cool.
It was awesome.
How was the rest of your trip?
It was good. It was good. Yeah, I got home like 7:30 that night.
Oh, amazing. That wasn't bad at all.
No.
Very cool. So how's the rest of your week been?
Not bad. Slow.
Yeah?
Yeah, not bad. And you?
Very good. Well, I've just been like, my birthday yesterday, so that was freaking cool. So cool. Yes, definitely. Awesome. Yeah. Liz, what about you? How's your week been?
Good, really good. I was really surprised from last week's session. I mean, I loved last week's session. But what I found surprising was how often I sort of defaulted into an excuse. And I consciously catching myself going, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, stop. Just tell the truth. Like, just be like, you know what? I really just did not get to it. I'm not going to say I didn't have enough time. I just didn't get to it. It was really interesting to me from my perspective, but then also listening to other people.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
That's the biggest thing. It's catching yourself, but it's like all of a sudden realizing, oh my God, everyone uses excuses.
Yeah. So good. It's all good. I've been busy, as we all are, but interesting awareness of self and others from last week's module. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Wow. Thank you, Liz.
It was an awesome workshop. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Linda, what about you?
Hi.
Did you have results like Jen and Liz?
Yes, I stopped making excuses and started doing my bloody ironing. A lot of it. Yeah. Yeah, it was good. Very good. So it's an awareness.
It is.
It's an awareness. Yes. Yes, exactly.
And that's exactly what these PIPs are for, is they are to bring awareness. That is the key component here. For us to truly be the emotional, intelligent human beings that we want to be, and find happiness and joy and abundance and gratitude and all of that stuff, we have to have this awareness. We 100% do. Yeah, that's amazing, Linda. I'm glad you got your ironing
I still have some, but I got a lot done.
done. Fantastic.
And my closet, I started cleaning my closet.
Very good. Karen,
If
what
you
about
start missing it, I can bring you mine.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Crazy.
Karen, how was your week?
Good. I kind of have the opposite problem of, letting everything be my fault type thing, and then it seemed to project on other people to want to blame me for everything. So I'm trying to shift that. I have been shifting it. So I'm gonna have the opposite problem.
Wow.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is really interesting. So you're going into a place of kind of, is it like self-loathing, that you're blaming yourself? You're coming from a place of shame? Is that what it is?
I guess I just got it in my head a long time ago that I was in a situation where I was being blamed for a lot of things. So then it convinced me that everything was my fault. And then I've noticed other people are doing that now. So it's just sort of a cycle that I'm working on breaking.
Yeah, because that's very much going into that victim mindset. Like that's where you're allowing yourself to go into that victim place. And the fact that you have awareness, Karen, that's huge. Like if you're seeing it, that's massive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a really hard one. That's the thing. All of these habits, be it that excuses, be it that you're blaming yourself, whatever it is, they're all habits that we have to break. And it's practice, right?
Yeah. And then awareness is the biggest step. I mean, once you're aware of it, then it's pretty much downhill from there, just dealing with it and breaking the habit. And yeah, I'm getting there.
Exactly. Yes, you are. That's why you're here.
Yep.
Omid, what about you? How was your week? No, we got here. I'm unmuting you. Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, this is not a Verizon ad. I was just saying that actually I'm still working on the first week. I redid my journals, so now there's 2 of them. I started with one, now there's 2,
Okay.
and I'm already thinking there's going to be a 3rd one. So they're multiplying all around me. I had them out at my office this morning, and so many people were walking by saying, "Hey, what's this book? What's this book?" So I'm like, "Well, you can't read inside, but I can tell you about it." So
Wow.
So I started giving everybody thoughts on starting their own journals and stuff.
That's fantastic. Good for you.
But I found that has been such a big difference maker from just reading. Like I was saying last week, I write them in the morning and then I just review them at night before bedtime. And it's been such a big help for peaceful sleep and then getting your morning off to a good start also, because one of the books is just affirmations. That's all that's in there.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's what I have too. I love it.
Yeah, I'm the exact same as you, Linda. I love my affirmations journal. Like I really
Yeah, and when I see one, I go in and I write it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's a good one.
Like I know what it is for me. It's very much a place. It's like this really great place where I get to dream. And I love to go to that place. And so it's like all of my dreams belong in there. And it's a matter of then I have to take them, change them into now my goals. So it's like I have to be there, and then I can then start setting goals with them. So it's
Right.
a fun place to dream. It really is. Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing, Amit. That's amazing. Andrew, hello. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm good. So how was your week?
It was really good. I just had amazing problems with this computer again, so it took me a minute to get in here. Awesome week, though.
Good. That's amazing. So I know I sent you that link about the emotional toolbox. Did you get it?
I'll have to have another look. I actually just got here, so.
Okay.
All right, look.
Amazing. Yeah. So listen, if you have to chat any further after watching that, just let me know.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, guys, are we ready? Everyone?
Ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
I have to
We're
tell you,
ready.
so funny because so Jen, it's her son Crosby's birthday today. So she's not able to be on this, and she was so upset because she was telling me, which I can't wait to hear. So I'm going to hear on Saturday when she joins me on Saturday, that she's had like a really amazing experience with resilience. And so she was like, oh, I can't believe I'm going to be on this. This is one of my favorite topics. I'm like, it's so funny. I find all of you, you'll have moments where you'll go through these 12 weeks where it's like, oh my God, this is my favorite topic. I love this one. So yeah, so Jen's not going to have it until Saturday. Okay. So what is resilience? I'm just going to put it out there to you guys. I'm going to start this off before we even get started. I mean, you can read it, you can see it, you have the workshop or whatever, but what is resilience to you guys? Because I always find it fascinating what people find, what is the definition of resilience? So I'm going to start with Karen. What is the definition?
I would say getting through a difficult time with class. Is the way I would put it.
With what? With your past?
With some class.
Yep, 100%. Andrew, how would you define resilience?
Maybe determined with odds or against odds.
Definitely. I'm going to ask one more person. Liz, how would you define it?
Getting back up after you've been pushed down.
Yes. Oh my God. See, that's the thing. Everyone knows that part about resilience, which is why I love doing this particular workshop, because resilience isn't just something that happens when you guys get knocked down. And most people always believe that's what resiliency is. When in fact, resiliency is something that needs to happen every single day in our life. So resilience is the quality that allows some people to be knocked down by life and come back stronger than ever. It's the ability, of course, everything you guys just said, to overcome challenges of all kinds, trauma, tragedy, personal crisis, plain old life problems, and come back, of course, tougher, wiser, and more personally powerful. It's the ability to cope well with pressure, adversity, and uncertainty by developing behaviors, thoughts, and actions. Anyone can learn these strategies to help increase resilience and hardiness. And the thing is when we go through this, there's a lot of stuff in this particular workshop that has to do with day-to-day and not just when you get knocked down. Because if you don't have your resiliency levels topped up on a daily basis, when that tragedy comes in, you get knocked down a lot further than you should. So it's always being mindful to be resilient every single day. So the 4 S's of resiliency. So this is something you want to keep in mind. There are 4 S's. Our response to any challenge is based on the way that we think about these 4 S's. Okay? So yourself. How do you see yourself? Who are you and what you stand for? And Karen just left, and I'm like, darn, her Zoom must have kicked her off. But she is very much in how do you define yourself. So she told us right here, she defines herself, it is the victim. It is herself as the victim. So we constantly, on a regular basis, have to ask ourselves, how are we defining ourselves? Because this has to do with our resiliency levels. If we're walking around labeling ourselves as the victim, our resilience levels are going to be lower. But if we are a survivor, we are a thriver, we are strong, our resiliency levels are going to be up. What's in the situation? So our understanding of the challenge itself. Are they challenges or are they tragedies? How are you looking at situations? When something comes in, are you a person when one thing happens and you're like, oh my God, this is the worst day of my life? How many of you guys know those people? Right away, no matter what it is, it's always the worst day of your life. That has to do with your resilience. How are you handling things in your life every single day? The next one is support. Who can you go to for help? For us to be resilient human beings, we need other people that we can lean on, which goes very much to the emotional toolbox, Andrew, that video that I made, the emotional toolbox. One of the things I say is we always must have a person or people that we can go to in any sort of situation in our life, okay? And that has to do, again, with your resiliency. And this is what I find so fascinating. People wouldn't think, really, the way I think of myself, the way I think of situations, the way I think of support, and even strategies. That's the fourth S, the actions we take. People don't necessarily think of that as resilient because they think of resiliency as just, I get knocked down and when I get back up, I get back stronger, and that's resiliency. And in fact, it's not. It's so much bigger, so much more.
Heidi?
Yes, Denise.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
That emotional toolbox that you're talking about, something we all got, or?
Oh, sorry. So what it was is I did a video last week called The Emotional Toolbox and how to make your emotional toolbox. And Andrew asked if he could get more information so he could see it again. He couldn't find it. So I sent it to him. But I'm more than happy to send it to you as well if you would like.
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay.
Also, is it okay? I don't want to offend anybody, but is it okay if everybody mutes while you're talking? Just because I'm hearing background noise. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jen.
Sorry. Thanks, guys.
I know you guys are always so good and aware of that because I feel like I'm talking so loud that I tune out that stuff because I just hear my voice talking really loud.
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay, so our resilience is based on the way we think about all of those four things. We can use those four S's as a framework to prepare for, handle, and reflect on any challenge. When you're constantly thinking of yourself in those four S's, then what happens is you are able to take on any challenge because when a situation comes in, you're not going, oh my God, this is the worst day of my life. The sky is falling, like that, those people, okay? This is why it's important to take steps every day to make it more likely that you will bounce back from any problem or challenge stronger, smarter, and with more self-esteem. That's what's important for resilience. Okay, so do you guys feel, I'm gonna have you just raise your hands because you're all on mute, but do you guys feel you have ever thought of resiliency and implemented those four S's? Has anyone done that? If so, put your hand up. Amazing. Okay, we got 2 people. That is fantastic. Good. So we got to make sure that all of those are a part of us every day. So I keep talking about it every day. We're going to be talking now about boosting your resiliency every day. Now, all of you are incredibly smart human beings that are in here. And a lot of this stuff, it's like, no, I understand. I know to keep myself up. But we need to remember there are going to be a lot of people that are coming in and taking these workshops that this could be one of the first self-development courses, workshops they ever take. So all of the PIP workshops, when you guys are doing stuff, is I always want you to keep in mind that everyone that is joining you, I want you to talk to them. I want you to give examples like this is the first workshop they've ever taken in self-development. Okay. And that is why, if you notice, when I am doing my videos, when I do those live videos, I always talk to the PPA like it's the first time they've ever heard this stuff. They've never read a book. They've never gone to a workshop. And that is how they're all of a sudden, when that happens, when you give them that direction and that guidance from that place, they will connect with you stronger because they know that you're not talking down to them, you're talking with them. Okay? So now we're talking about boosting resiliency every day. So resiliency is the ability to stay in control. Okay, that's a key word. Stay in control, not lose our mind, not start screaming and yelling, push through perceived setbacks and solutions. Yet, it is very difficult to be resilient if your reserves are low. Jen, were you asking something? No? Okay, so the higher these reserves, so this is what we need to remember. The higher these reserves, the more likely you will be able to deal with what comes your way and be able to protect your mental and physical health. So this is something we need to remember. Resiliency levels, a lot of times people think that keeping your resiliency levels up is keeping your health up, your physical health, so you're not tired. But in actual fact, it has a lot to do with your mental health, okay? So resilient reserve levels can be thought of like a cell phone battery. This is my favorite analogy. So what you need to think of is if you need to make a 30-minute phone call, you know you're going to be on a 30-minute phone call and your battery only has 10 minutes of charge life left, guess what's going to happen? You run out. You're completely running out of battery. And this is how we have to start looking at ourselves. If we are walking around on a 10% battery and we need to do 24 hours in a day, well, guess what? We're going to lose our minds. We're going to lose our tempers. You know, you're like all of these things because your resilient levels are too low. So resiliency levels are similar when low. You risk losing hope and the will to keep trying. That's what happens when it's down there. And you guys know what that feels like when you're just like, that's it. I'm out. Like, I cannot deal with this. You walk away, arguments happen. Your whole hope is gone, okay? High, of course, you're better able to handle these challenges. You're all of a sudden able to handle, hi! Oh my God, I love when other people are popping in. Amazing. So, have you had moments, guys, when you felt you weren't resilient because of your reserves? Everyone has. Hands up, every single human being has done that, okay? So, maintaining daily energy reserves define how much resiliency you have to push forward at any given moment. So to recharge your energy levels in reserve, individuals need to take care of their, of course, physical health. This is so incredibly important. Listen, guys, physical health, exercise, diet, and rest, it has to exist in our lives. This doesn't mean you got to join a gym. This means just go walk, take the stairs. These things have to happen in our life. The next is mental health, your coping skills. All of that needs to be at a high. Work, getting along with peers. Your current role is a good job fit. When you are in a role, and I know Devil and Jen, we were just talking about this, you know, like, listen, you're in a position, and because you don't like where you are, how you're surrounded, what happens with your resiliency levels? They go down. You feel more tired. You get angrier. All of these things exist. Finances is another one. Yes, Jen? Finances is another one. Finances, we all know when you are going through, you know, you have bad finances, you don't have enough money, you've lost your job, whatever it is, your resiliency levels go down. They automatically don't. So all of these things you constantly need to be building them up and paying attention. So just kind of pushing them off to the side and not talking about it, you're not dealing with it then, but it's there and your resiliency levels are coming down. Most of us have a block of time that we are locked into for work and family commitments. All of us do. Look at a typical week and establish where your biggest energy drains are, as well as your energy charges. So I even know someone like you, Andrew, you shared with all of us that this, being a part of the PPA, reading books on this, listening to podcasts, watching documentaries, all of that is your charge. And you know that. So you tap into that resiliency to charge you back up because there are other things in your life that are bringing it down. So it's having an awareness of where are my charges, okay? The end of a typical day, if you were to assign a color to your resilient levels, what color are you? And you know what? This is a really great thing for you guys to implement into your day. Just ask yourself at the end of the day, what are my resiliency levels today? Is it red? Is it low? Is it yellow? I'm about halfway there. Or is it green? I feel really full. I feel fantastic. I had an amazing day. Where are you? And then what's great about that is then you can start to look at your entire day. Why? Why is it I've asked myself this question 4 times this week and 4 times I've said red? And the more times you start tapping into where are my resiliency levels every single day, you're going to need to step back and start looking at where do you need to start making changes to bring it up to half, to bring it up to the yellow, to bring it up to the green. If you believe your resiliency level reserves are most often in the red or the yellow, then you need to focus and you need to figure that out. Okay. Do you guys feel, do you feel that at the end of the day, I'm going to have you raise your hands. Do you feel you're a red? Raise your hands if you feel you're a red at the end of the day. Okay. Yeah. If you feel you're a yellow, who feels they're a yellow? Okay. Who feels they're a green? Amazingness. Amazingness. Oh my God. You guys are so good. Okay. So recharge physical resiliency levels. So how do we do this? So these are just, listen, this is not rocket science. That's the greatest thing about it. But there are so many people walking around that they don't know how to actually recharge themselves and do that. I love that we have greens in here because you guys are doing a great job then. Okay, so add activity to your life. Again, I said exercise at the very top of this. It is so incredibly important. Engage in activities that you enjoy and find relaxing. Take care of you helps to keep your mind and body primed to deal with situations that require resilience, okay? So that's the thing. These situations are going to come up all the time. We're going to have stressful days. You know, tragedies happen. There are ups and downs and setbacks are going to come. But if you're leading your life at a high resiliency level, it doesn't knock you down that far, okay? Your body releases stress-relieving and mood-boosting chemicals called endorphins. I know you guys all know this. Before and after you work out, which is why exercise is a powerful antidote. What it's doing is it's relieving stress, anxiety, and depression. That's why it's so incredibly important. That's why I got behind and got involved with the Shoppers Love You Run, because their entire platform is how exercise can help combat mental health. And it does. And it boosts your resiliency levels, okay? Look for small ways to add activity to your day, like taking the stairs. It's that simple instead of the elevator. To get the most benefit, they say, aim for at least 30 minutes of exercise a day. It is true. That, I mean, it's been proven time and time again. This is perfect. Number 2, nutrition boost. And you're probably like, yes, I know I'm supposed to exercise, Heidi, and I'm supposed to eat healthy. But I'm telling you why it's so important here, okay? What you eat nourishes your whole body, including your brain. So I have examples of the things you guys really have to bring in and why. So carbohydrates, of course, in moderation, we need to remember that, increases serotonin, a brain chemical that has a calming effect on your mood. So this is why we need that nutrition. This is what it is giving us, okay? Protein-rich foods increase norepinephrine, dopamine, and tyrosine, which help keep you alert. So guys, we need all of that protein-rich food to keep us alert and keep our resiliency levels up. Vegetables and fruits are loaded with nutrients that feed every cell of your body, including those that affect mood-regulating brain chemicals, okay? Include foods, of course, with omega-3 polyunsaturated fats. I take the capsules. I take them every single day. It's like brain-boosting power. Foods, found in fish, nuts, and flaxseed, because research shows that this can improve mood and restore structural integrity of the brain cells necessary for cognitive functioning. I take them, honest to God, I remember it was years ago that I started taking them, and it was like when I just started to get into my 40s, and I noticed that all of a sudden I was like, okay, this whole thing but you start to forget things, like you can't remember where you put your keys, can't remember where you left your cell phone, you can't, like that started to happen. And I was like, what is happening? And so I, of course, did some research. What should I be taking? And so I started taking the omega-3s I could not believe the difference in brain function all of a sudden. It was like, it does do exactly what it says. It restores structural integrity of the brain cells. So all of this, all of these beautiful foods that we're putting in our body is boosting our resiliency levels, okay? Go to bed on time. You guys know this. You know this stuff. Sleep restores both your mind and body. They say as human beings, and everyone varies very differently, that 6 to 8 hours is the perfect time that we should be sleeping. I know for myself, I am like amazing on 6 hours. 6 hours is perfect. 8 hours is actually too much for me. If I have 8 hours sleep, I am actually moody. Like, I'm not a great person on 8 hours sleep. 6 is perfect. So try to go to bed at a regular time each day and practice good habits to get better sleep. These include turning off the screens at least 1 hour before bed. By the way, I don't do that. I don't. Listen, I'm with the PPA. I have to talk to you guys a lot. But for me, the moment I do get into bed, I set my alarm, and that's the last time I look at my phone. So I do not pick it up again until the morning. So I'm not when I'm in bed, but I'm pretty much on it right until then. But it seems to work for me. I turn myself off. When I put it down, it seems to just turn it off for me. Not eating 1 hour before bed is something. Do not work out 3 hours before bed. There are a lot of people that do not know that. You should not be working out 3 hours before you go to bed, because what happens is you've boosted all those endorphins and they're like, woohoo, party time, what are we doing now? Let's get to work. So do not do that. Limiting caffeine drinks to the morning hours. I know for myself, I cannot have caffeine drinks. About, say, past 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I just have no caffeine anymore. And of course, journaling. Of course, I'm going to put journaling in there. That is very important for you. Okay, so how do we recharge our resiliency in your everyday? So what can we start doing to recharge it every day? Now, we've got exercise, we've got the sleep, we've got the nutrition, we know that. You have the power to take positive steps to improve your resilience and emotional health. Don't wait until you're in a crisis. That's the number one thing here. It's easier to form new habits when you're feeling strong, and then you will have them in place when you need them most, which is why the emotional toolbox is so important for your resiliency. It's about having all of these things in place, so when that bad thing happens, I'm good to go. I'm ready. I've got my emotional toolbox set, okay? So pick something that resonates with you out of all the things we're going to talk about now, and try it. Then try something else. Slowly putting in place routines, habits, and regular patterns will help you feel better through gradual change. So the very first one is make connections. Good relationships with close family members, friends, coworkers are actually important. This is something that helps our resiliency. Knowing you are valued by others is important for helping you think more positively and overcome the negative aspects of your life. We are human beings. We were put here for connection. We were not put here to be alone. There's also evidence, my dogs. My son just came home. He grabbed them. Thank you, Michael. There is also evidence that trust and kindness can increase your emotional well-being and resilience. Trusting the positive aspects in other people and being kind and helpful helps you recognize the positive aspects in yourself. So that connection, that kindness, all of that actually boosts you. You know what it feels like when you do a kind act for someone else, or they do it for you. It makes you feel like $1,000,000. There's a reason for that. It is boosting your resiliency levels. This is what's so important. Some people find that being in active groups, okay, so anything from a faith-based organization, so belonging to churches, other local classes provide that social support if you belong, mommy's groups do that, it might be book clubs or anything like that. And of course, exactly what we're doing with the PPA. Being involved in making those connections on a regular basis boosts your resiliency to be stronger. Because you know what it feels like to walk around when you've been seen, heard, and acknowledged by another person. It does boost you, okay? The next is avoid overreacting. So this is the sky is following, the earth is swallowing me up. This is the worst day of my life. A phrase like that never should exist in your vocabulary, ever. It just shouldn't, because that is overreacting. You can't change the fact that highly stressful events happen, but you can change how you interpret and respond to these events. Overreaction involves mind and body. The past and the present, and after long periods of overreacting to emotional triggers, fragile egos and your ability to cope, to keep stress positive and to be resilient is severely impaired. So that's what that does. Hands down, that's what overreacting is doing. Try looking beyond the present to how future circumstances may be a little better. Implement perspective and calming exercises to calm overreaction. Because what you're doing, every time you're overreacting, your adrenaline, everything goes through the roof. Your heart is racing. So physically, you are reacting to this. Mentally and emotionally, you are doing that. And you start to get fatigued from this constant overreacting, okay? So accept that change is a part of living. It is, and change is super duper scary for so many people, but you have to accept it. Accepting circumstances that cannot be changed can help you focus on circumstances that can alter your life. So for instance, on Monday, it was Mike and I, it was our anniversary. And we are involved, we go to Mo Mondays, the PPA was speaking at Mo Mondays, and so it happens once a month. So of course it's just this regular thing happening over and over again. Well, I actually forgot that Mo Mondays was going to be on the Monday. So Sunday night, Mike is like, oh, Mo Monday, and he didn't say, he's like, oh, tomorrow's our anniversary. Like, what did you want to do or whatever? And I'm like, well, we'll just have a quiet night, but it'd just be so nice. Let's get some, champagne and let's just celebrate the two of us because we're going out this weekend. So I wake up Monday morning and I said to Mike, oh my God, Mike, I just realized it's the 25th. It's the last Monday of the month. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, it's Mo Mondays tonight. Linda's speaking at Mo Mondays. And Mike went, oh, he was like, oh my, and he stopped himself mid where he was just going to be like, oh my God, like disappointment. And he went, oh my, you know what? Yeah. We're just going to go to Mo Mondays. We'll be home by like 9:30. We'll have a great time. We'll see Linda speak and we'll have our anniversary when we get home. And it was like the overreacting, but also that accepting, that change of plans, all of that. There was nothing we could do. We had made a commitment. We had to go. And so why get all upset about something when there's nothing we can do about it? And so it's accepting this, okay? Change can be daunting and incite a certain fear within us. However, change can be good. It really can. It's easier to ride the waves than to swim against them. So embrace the change and adjust your routine accordingly. Letting go of the fear increases resiliency. Okay, move towards goals. This recharges you. So move towards your goals. Develop some realistic goals. Do something regularly. Even if it seems like a small accomplishment, that enables you to move towards your goals. Instead of focusing on tasks that seem unachievable, ask yourself, what's one thing I know I can accomplish today that helped me move in the direction of where I want to go? And when we do goal setting, we talk about this quite a bit. It's not just about achieving the large goal, it's setting all the little ones to get to that. By doing that, by setting these little goals and achieving it, it boosts your resiliency because you feel so accomplished. You feel phenomenal about your life, no matter what it is that you have to accomplish in that day. Linda accomplished her ironing. Listen, that is not something where she's getting an award. That's not even something she's probably going to get a pat on the back for. You know what I mean? But she felt like, what the first thing she said to us, I got my laundry done, I got my ironing done. It is a goal, and it boosts that resiliency because you feel good about yourself. Okay? And this is the thing. A lot of people don't realize that these things that we can implement, what it's doing is it's boosting our resiliency. Okay? So take decisive actions. This boosts and recharges you on a daily basis. Act on adverse situations as much as you can. It's tempting to give up in the face of a challenge, always. We all want to do that. We all want to run away at some time or another, but it will help improve resiliency if you take action in stressful situations rather than detaching completely. Remember, avoiding the issue and refusing to make a decision is a decision in itself. And I'm going to read that again. Listen to how powerful that is. Just that when refusing to make a decision is a decision in itself. Okay? So in that, what decision do you want to make here then? Do you want to run away or do you want to face it? Because you all know every single time, you know what that feels like when you stand up for yourself, when you say no, when the lady at the LCBO says, do you want to donate to this charity? And you say, no, thank you. You feel accomplished. You feel great. You made a decisive thing. This, guys, is recharging your resilience levels. Okay? Look for opportunities for self-discovery. Dealing with any form of loss, struggle, or tragedy helps build resilience in a person. These moments are times of learning, self-growth, a greater understanding of your strength and vulnerability. Don't shy away, for all life has to offer, even during these times. Okay, so you're always looking for that self-discovery moment. Nurture a confident view of yourself. And you know what? All of you have that view of yourself. That's why you're leaders, of course. But there are a lot of people that don't have that. Developing confidence, solving problems, and trusting your instincts helps build your resiliency. Confidence can be achieved by strategizing, planning, and taking the initiative to learn and try new things. Just easy things like that. All of the things I just said above number 7 is going to boost your confidence. All of those. Every single one of them is going to do that, okay? And then number 8, how to recharge your resiliency is keeping things in perspective. So incredibly important. Even when facing very painful events, try to consider the stressful situation in a broader context and keep a long-term perspective. Avoid blowing the event out of proportion. Of course, we've already said we're not going to be overreacting. Initiate active listening to hear another perspective or try to shift your thinking to see another point of view. Always keep an open mind. That open mind, having that perspective, it boosts that resiliency again, because you're always not looking at the negative side or something, or thinking that people are attacking you, or thinking God knows what is it, like that closed minded. I always think of like the horse with the blinders on it. Going through life like a horse with blinders on it is never going to boost your resiliency, because that can easily take you to a victim mode. Okay? So maintain a hopeful outlook. An optimistic outlook enables you to expect the good things will happen in life. Visualizing what you want rather than worrying about what you fear brings awareness and focus to the things you have accomplished and what you want to continue. And what you guys are doing in your journaling, affirmations, all of that is giving you a hopeful outlook. That's exactly what that is doing, instead of looking at, oh my gosh, the worst case scenario. Whether your reflection takes the form of meditation, journaling, a gratitude exercise, or a walk outside, it will help you think back on your day in a non-judgmental way, okay? My favorite, number 10, to help you recharge your resilience is celebrate your successes. Celebrate everything in life. Yes, Liz, thumbs up for that one. We celebrate everything. Take time at the end of each day to review what went well and congratulate yourself. Celebrating trains the mind to look for success rather than dwelling on negativity and failure. You can see what you have accomplished and what actions you need to take tomorrow to keep moving forward. Celebrate everything. That is one of my favorite things to do. I have so many things in my house. Like I love balloons. I have those blowhorn things. And honest to God, I actually like blow them all the time to celebrate the most ridiculous things. I have a tiara. Linda knows my tiara. I put my tiara on because then I feel like the princess and I celebrate all the things I've done. Listen, guys, whatever's going to make it work for you, do it. Okay? Resilience mindset. So this is now we're talking about mindsets. Okay? The great thing about resilience is that it's not a personality trait. It involves a way of paying attention, thinking, and how we behave. Okay? World-renowned neuroscientist Richard Davidson is the William James and Willis Professor of Psychology and Psychiatry at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and the founder and director of the Center for Mental Health, Center for Healthy Minds. Sorry about that. Okay, Dr. Davidson has found evidence that mindfulness does increase resiliency, and being mindful reduces negative thoughts, and if practiced regularly, changes your brain so that you are more resilient to future stressful events. And we know that we're creating new neural pathways. That's what this does. So mindful practices. So what are the mindful practices that we can bring in to boost our resiliency levels? And the thing is a lot of you are already doing these practices. So the first one, of course, is practice positive affirmations. This is something we talked about in journaling. Practicing those affirmations boosts your resiliency. Research shows that how you think about yourself can have a powerful effect on how you feel. Of course it does. But I'm so in awe of these people that don't realize that simple fact, that they just don't know that how they think of themselves is how it affects how they feel, okay? When we perceive ourselves and our life negatively, we can end up viewing experiences in a way that confirms that notion, okay? Instead, I want you to practice positive affirmations using words that promote feelings of self-worth and personal power. These affirmations help to build resilience and develop a second skin, is what it does, which creates a psychological protective barrier between the inner you and another person or situation. Okay? The following examples help build resiliency or develop this second skin that you need. We all need this second skin to be more resilient in all of these situations when people come at us. They work best if said aloud. You guys know this. With feeling, so that you create a vibration or sensation in the body as you speak. And Jen, your experience when we did the affirmations was, I told you this the other day on Monday, was one of the most powerful things I've ever experienced. And it's that amazing because you said it out loud. And with the question that you were going up or keeping it down, it was changing you and changing the energy that was happening. So this is why it's so incredibly powerful. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Okay, so these help to drive the messages home. Repetition, of course, Victoria talked about this a lot. Repetition also helps to embed the affirmations into your psyche, okay? So here are examples. Guys, you're gonna come up with your own, but we always wanna make sure one of the greatest things we can do is start it with I am, because whatever follows I am happens. So if you are, I am tired, well, I'm affirming, I am tired. Remember I told you in excuses, it's like that is the thing that always showed up with me. I constantly kept affirming that. So I am kind, I am smart, I am important. There's so many of them here. I'm a good person. I always do the best I can. I exercise the right to live my life on my own terms and know that it is enough. So these are examples you guys can implement into your life. You will probably have your own affirmations as well. I know, Liz, you actually recorded your affirmations. Have you started using them?
What do you mean using them?
Like, have you started listening to them?
Yes, I listen and I say them. So I say them out loud every morning.
Amazing.
And then I listen to them later in the day,
Wow.
recorded in my own voice. Yeah.
Wow. Have you noticed a difference at all? Have you seen?
God, Heidi, I wish I could tell you I did, but I really haven't yet.
Okay. Listen, I love your honesty. I love that you're like, no, I haven't yet. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, because Victoria said it could take a month. It could take. Months. So it's only been. I'm going to keep.
Amazing. Keep it up. Keep it up. Oh my God. Okay. So number 2, you guys know this. We talk about this so much in the PPA. Practice gratitude. Gratitude has been clearly linked with improved well-being and mental health as well as happiness. Renowned psychologist and expert on gratitude, Dr. Robert Emmons, where we talk about him quite a bit when we do the gratitude workshop, made a huge observation. This observation blows my mind, guys. Made a huge observation and discovery about gratitude and resilience in the face of the 9/11 attacks. In his book, which is named Thanks, he observes that understandably some of the first studies of survivors of the destruction of the World Trade Center buildings centered on negative outcomes, such as post-traumatic stress disorders, anxiety, depression, and sleep disorders. However, guys, this is incredible research. However, subsequent studies examined positive emotions that emerged in the wake of the tragedy. Emotions such as gratitude that contributed to resilience. Emmons added, one might wonder if all this positivity was merely a form of denial. Okay, so this is what they thought. After all, one way to cope with trauma is to seal off the negative thoughts and images from conscious awareness. Yet, there was no evidence for such a suppression effect in the data. Resilient individuals did not, that's the thing, guys, they did not deny negative emotions, but they also experienced positive emotions and thoughts. So it's like, what the heck is going on here? Resilient individuals did not deny negative emotions, but they also experienced positive emotions and thoughts. What? This is blowing my mind. I had to say that again. Certain factors have been highlighted as sources of resilience, including social support, a sense of purpose, meaning, and a personal control, an optimistic outlook, and humor. Emmons suggests that gratitude be added to this list. So all of them were not denying, but they were experiencing positive emotions from this that happened. They weren't suppressing because they were all of a sudden looking, they were having an optimistic look on what life was, and it was building their resiliency levels. Like that in itself blows my mind. And that is why it is so incredibly important. Yet again, another piece of research telling us we need to practice gratitude, and it's so incredibly important. So implement a growth mindset. And we talk about a growth mindset in other workshops down the line, but here, implement a growth mindset. It's helpful to adopt a growth mindset. In other words, you can increase resiliency if you can see setbacks as learning opportunities and not as failures, okay? If you remember that tough times are normal and to be expected, you won't take them personally and blame yourself. You can choose to see setbacks and adversities as opportunities for growth rather than personal failings or punishments. And in our body, we have 2 ways that we learn. And one of the ways in which that we learn is that we get rewarded, right? So the moment something shows up as a reward in our body, we automatically then go to a place of resiliency. So for instance, what happens is a mistake happens, okay? A mistake, a setback, whatever it is. If we look at it as something negative, that is one way we're going to learn about it. That because we're making it a negative thing and it shows up in our body as a negative emotion, okay? If a mistake or setback comes in and we look at it as something as, oh, you know what? Yeah, I got that. Wow, that stung. But you know, the lesson I've learned from that, the moment we go into that part of our brain that it is a lesson shows up in our brain as a reward. And so our body reacts to it as a positive thing. So by us implementing this growth mindset and looking at things in a positive manner, always looking at it, it's boosting our resiliency levels, okay? Number 4 is being present. Being mindful, of course, we know this. We need to be present in our lives. Being mindful of the present moment allows us to let go of negative or difficult emotions from past moments or experiences that are weighing us down. Start by bringing awareness to routine activities such as taking a shower, eating lunch, or walking home. How many times do we do things in our life, guys, where we check out? We brush our teeth. Do you even remember brushing your teeth this morning or what you thought about? Because you weren't in the present moment. You weren't just in that moment of, I'm brushing my teeth right now. I can feel the bristles. Oh, my teeth are so clean, whatever it is. We're off on 500 different things that are happening. We drive to work. Have you ever driven to work and you'll be like, I don't even remember even really driving here, because you're not in the present moment of driving. So what you need to do to build your resiliency levels is I want you to start practicing being in the present moment in these ridiculous moments where you're in the shower, you're thinking of 500 different things, when you're brushing your teeth, when you're making lunches for the kids, when you're driving to work, whatever it is, you're doing laundry, you're ironing. There's Linda ironing and she's thinking about everything else. Take all of those trivial little moments, and I want you guys to start practicing bringing yourself into the present moment. And that in itself starts when you can do it in those moments, you will start bringing yourself into the present in all moments, all of the incredible moments. And this in itself is going to boost your resiliency levels, okay? Because you're staying where you need to. Okay, so emotional resilience. This is the big one. Okay, when emotions arise, you need to get into a habit of noticing the signs occurring to understand and identify those emotions to become more resilient. Okay, so we talk about it a lot, about what are those triggers, what is getting us there. You can begin this process by asking yourself questions that will help you understand the ways that emotions have affected you. So, great questions to ask include, what am I feeling right now? Like, have you ever just in the day, whatever you're doing, when you're brushing, you're bringing yourself and you're figuring things out, brushing your teeth, do you ever just say, like, what am I feeling right now? What am I actually, do you ever ask yourself these questions? What are my senses telling me right now? What is it that I want? What judgments or conclusions have I made? And then, are they actually accurate? Is it reality? Okay. What is this emotion trying to tell me? So this is, we're trying to figure out, we're trying to boost our resiliency by tapping into our emotions now. So the answers to these questions are key to using your emotions in the service of your life goals rather than allowing your emotions to use you. Because so many of us walk around letting our emotions take the lead instead of us taking the lead. Okay, often your psychological reactions suggest vital clues to the nature of your emotional state. Of course they do. Listen, these are the one I'm going to bring these up to you to awareness. We all know these things. If your face begins to get warm while you're talking with someone, what are you? You're probably embarrassed. You're embarrassed in the situation that is happening right there. Your body is telling you this. If you have butterflies in your stomach, you're nervous. See, all of these that I'm telling you right now, you guys know them. You know all of these. You know what the butterflies are. You know when you start to feel hot and your heart is racing. You're angry. You know all this, right? So now what I want you to do is I want you to start tapping into throughout the day, what are the other things that are showing up? Like, I know for myself, I'm such a bad person that my mother calls it dithering. I don't know if you guys know what that word is, but it's like I bounce my leg all the time. I constantly bounce my leg. And what the thing is a lot of people will always say to me, oh my God, are you really nervous or something? Or have you got a lot of anxiety? Because I'm bouncing my leg or whatever it is. And I had to go, do I? What am I feeling right now? Like, why am I dithering my leg like crazy? So it's like, there are different things that we do, different tics that we do, whatever they are. It's like you're rubbing your face, you're crossing your arms, you know, like I do when I'm thinking, when I'm like really thinking and I'm like trying to like use all the brain power. I have a tendency to do this with my hands. Our body is constantly going to give us clues as to what our emotions are doing. So I'm now bringing awareness to start noticing all of them. So if you can start to figure out how you're feeling and what is going on, you will start to understand and you can start building your resiliency levels because you can take care and deal with what is happening because you've brought awareness to it. Okay, so also perhaps certain surface of your mind when you're feeling sad that you aren't there or there at other times. Perhaps you were hurt in the past by a romantic partner with a particularly striking face and find over time that when you meet that new person, you're reminded of that partner. So these things are going to start to happen as well. There are lots of, and I know for myself, like when I left my ex-husband, he was really tall. He was like 6'2", and he had like, you know, the square jaw and everything else. And any person that resembled that at all, I actually felt anger towards that person. So we have to start becoming aware of all of these things that are showing up and why we're reacting. Don't let our emotions lead us, okay? So managing your emotions. So how the heck do we manage them? Now we've just figured them all out, why I'm doing all these different things. How do we manage them? So understanding your emotions makes it possible for you to manage them so that they work for you rather than against you. Example, having established that you are feeling sad, of course, you can take steps to make yourself feel happier. I'm dithering my leg. That is probably like a nervous anxiety. I'm like feeling under the gun, pressure, whatever it is, because that reaction a lot of times comes up when I feel like I'm like pressured and I'll start dithering more. And so it's like me being aware that I can now take steps to stop me from dithering like a crazy person at the time. Okay, it's important because if your sadness, it could be anger, it could be anxiety, whatever it is, would normally influence you to act in a way that might damage yourself or someone else. Becoming aware of that emotion can enable you to take steps to not act in that destructive way. Example, your boss calls you carefully researched proposal a stupid idea. How are you reacting? Right away. It's like, this proposal you just worked on, yeah, that's a stupid idea. A careless comment like this might make you very angry, right? Of course it will. Your heart's going to beat, your head's going to pound, all of these things are going to start to happen. So how do we manage this stuff when it happens? Though you want to yell at your boss, doing so might likely get you into trouble and might even get you fired. So what are the resilient emotional steps that you can take? So number one, recognize what emotion is happening. Recognize it. No, oh my God, I'm so freaking angry right now. Like you can think it, you could write it down, you can say it, whatever it is. I am really angry. Although giving your boss a piece of your angry mind would likely help you feel better in a short term, doing this, of course, will probably get you in a lot of trouble. Recognizing this danger, you might decide that while your boss's comment was unreasonable and even mean, there is nothing particularly useful to be gained by sinking to this level. So with you realizing, oh my gosh, I'm recognizing I'm really angry. All I want to do is lash out. This is all I'm going to do. But see, you're thinking through it. You're recognizing what is happening. And it's like, then you can go to a place where you can realistically come up with a solution. Think about your goals in those situations. So you would like to maintain steady employment. Of course you would. So what are your goals? So become aware of it. And what is your goal in this situation? If your goal is to rip your boss a new one, well then have at it. But you're probably not going to like the end result. But if your goal is to keep your job and, you know, deal with this situation in a more diplomatic fashion, well then you're going to be able to go forward with it. Get some perspective is number 3. So be objective about the circumstances, or solicit opinions may help you as well. So get perspective from all other different people. Step back yourself and get some perspective on the situation if you are able to do that yourself. Also, anytime you're tapping into someone, you are not tapping into a person that just wants to gossip with you. You're also not tapping into someone to get perspective that is just going to agree with you. Someone you're tapping into for perspective is someone that you trust. You trust their opinion, that they will, in fact, give you perspective on the situation, okay? By actively managing your emotions, you are taking steps towards becoming more emotionally resilient. You are also taking steps to avoid pitfalls and problems that strong emotions would otherwise push you towards. How people think about themselves and their relationships with others and the world forms the base on which emotions management skills sit. Negative, defeatist attitude towards self and others makes it more difficult for you to successfully manage your emotions, okay? Positive, empowering attitudes, on the other hand, make emotional resiliency seem like second nature. We are building that second skin, okay? So, becoming resilient to stress, which is probably the number one thing people would love to figure out how to do. So to be resilient to stress means to be strong and tolerant of stressful situations. Some people seem to be stronger than others when it comes to dealing with stress. Hands down, there are people we know that are just better at handling stress than others. Some people they always fall apart. They're always in a puddle. They can't deal with it. They're the ones that the sky is falling. It's the worst day of my life. And it's because their resiliency levels are so low, okay? To become emotionally resilient to stress, you need to develop these 3 essential stress-hardy elements which shift your perspective. Number 1, guys, the right attitude. That's what it comes down to. It is the right attitude. The more resilient, you must view life's difficulties as challenges and respond accordingly with action rather than with fear, self-pity, blame, or a victim mentality. Life can be very stressful. An important step in becoming more resilient is to develop positive self-talk and to remind yourself that you are strong and you can grow stronger and wiser as you handle life's decisions. Do you guys find this? Do you find that you do have a right attitude when it comes into things? Or are there some things where you just automatically you just don't seem to have the right attitude when it's dealing with a certain person, be it a boss or a friend or whatever it is, that you just don't have the right attitude because you're showing up in that blame or that victim mentality or that anger that you don't like that you have to do this? Is anyone finding that? Hands up if you are. There you go. Love you, Jen. Yep, definitely. Okay. So number 2 is personal control. Sometimes we feel our lives are out of control, and this feeling causes immense stress. While we can't always control our circumstances, we can control how we respond to these circumstances. Personal belief and control over our emotion makes a big difference in our attitude and in the course our lives take and our resiliency. Those who spend time worrying about uncontrollable events can often feel lost, helpless, and powerless to take action. There are so many people that spend so much time worrying about something that hasn't happened at all. It's not even here. And yet all I am doing is worrying about that. I know for myself, I've always this was when I was back working at the Marilyn Dennis show. And when I went into that job, I had honestly, I had never dealt with stress like that in my entire life. For the first number of years that I was there, we were in fact a live show. The show is now no longer live. It is a taped show. We still ran it like it was a live show, but we didn't have the pressure of it's freaking live. So the stress of being live, I couldn't get over how much my stress levels increased. The pressure was insanely intense, right? And so myself, what ended up happening is I found every single day I was just walking around with so much stress and so much anxiety and panic attacks, anxiety attacks, they were frequent in my life. until I started reading more and more about stress, because I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I've got to get control of this. I've got to figure all of this out. And so I started doing a lot of research. And for me, it was the moment I realized stress happens, but my reaction to it is my choice. And I was like, what? No, it's stress, but it's not. Stress is always going to come in. And in that split second that stress happens, I have the choice how I'm going to react to it. Am I going to react to it with sadness, anger, anxiety? How am I reacting? Because all of those feelings and all of those emotions that are now existing in my body, I created them. That was my personal choice. And so every time that would happen, these stressful moments would come in, and I would literally just step back and go, I have a choice right now how I'm going to react. And so I started changing how I reacted. And it was a gradual thing that happened. And I started implementing that I would take the deep breath in, take the deep breath out, calm myself. And because I realized there are absolutely no answers in chaos. No answers. What happens when someone is completely stressed and they're in that chaos? What is the one thing that they say to you? Oh my God, I'm so stressed out. I just can't think. Everyone says that because in chaos, there are no answers. They don't exist. Your brain is in that fight or flight. Your amygdala is like charging like crazy. So it's taking it. And that's why it was so important when we went through the leadership program for us to get to those places, to bring ourselves down to a place where we now control what our actions, our reactions are. So that's why personal control in your resiliency, because taking anxiety attacks and panic attacks and all those reactions out of my life, my resiliency levels went through the roof. And it got to a point where I got to tell you, there was nothing I couldn't handle at that show. Nothing. Like, it was ridiculous, the things that occurred. It just didn't faze me because I made the choice how I reacted to it. Commitment. During stressful situations, it's easy to let go of your commitments. To be resilient means to stay committed to your life and to your goals. So many times we just abandon it, right? Commitment go hand in hand. Determination and commitment go hand in hand. Any worthwhile undertaking is bound to include a few unexpected detours. And without the determination to work through these challenges, it will be easy for your commitment to waver. But determination isn't all about dealing with problems. In fact, some of the biggest challenges to your efforts to remain committed will be the endless demands on your time and attention, which we all know. We're all like, oh my God, I just don't have enough time in the day. That's our excuse we use on a regular basis. So you have to be honest with yourself, not only about what will be required of you to fulfill this commitment, but why is it important to you and whether or not it will be worth sacrificing other more pleasurable pastimes, okay? So you constantly have to stay committed. You constantly have to check in with yourself. You know, why am I abandoning this? I know how important it is to me. I know I need to do this. The more emotionally resilient you are, the better prepared you will be to look at problems as stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Okay, so anyone have any questions about those? You guys good? Excellent. Okay, how to be resilient with setbacks. A leading psychologist, Martin Seligman, says, the way that we explain setbacks to ourselves is also important. He talks in terms of optimism and pessimism rather than resiliency. However, the effect is essentially the same. Okay? Getting rid of blanket statements. Guys, they've got to disappear from our lives. Blanket statements, oh my gosh, I got to tell you, my husband, it's such a bad habit of his. You know, when it's like, oh my gosh, you know, the boys need to do the dishes. The boys never do the dishes anymore. I'm like, no, that's not true. They actually do them all the time. They just didn't do it today. Blanket statement. We constantly do that in our life. We blanket statement something. Get rid of the blanket statements. Stay in that moment, because all of a sudden, if you blanket statement everything is so negative, all your resiliency is coming down because you're really telling yourself everything sucks. Okay, being resilient to setbacks, you must have permanence. People who are optimistic and therefore have more resiliency see the effects of bad events as temporary rather than permanent. Okay, do you see that? For example, they might say, my boss didn't like the work I did on the project, right? The boss didn't like the work I did on that project, rather than my boss never likes my work. Do you see how the blanket statement, do you see what happens there? Listen, it's just temporary. It's not permanent. So we need to get rid of this permanence. We need to make it that these are temporary things. The blanket statements need to disappear. Pervasiveness, okay? Resilient people don't let setbacks or bad events affect other unrelated areas of their lives, okay? So for example, they would say, I'm not very good at this time. I'm not very good, I'm not very good at this. I'm not very good at this. I'm not very good at doing jumping jacks, okay? Instead of, I'm not good at anything I do when I work out, right? See, again, we're taking the blanket statements away. So we want to make sure that the setbacks or bad events affect other unrelated areas of our lives, okay? Personalization is another one. People who have resilience don't initiate self-blame on themselves when bad events occur. And I know, Karen, this is something she's gone. Oh God, I hope I didn't offend her. Oh God. Oh. Okay, for example, they might say, I didn't get the support I needed to finish that project successfully, okay? Rather than, I messed that project up because I can't do my job. See that? How many times do people do that? Instead of, you know what? I didn't get to finish that project successfully. I didn't have the support I needed. I really need to get that. Instead of saying, you know what? The entire thing was just completely messed up because like, I just suck at my job. I suck. How many times do we hear people say that when something goes wrong? That they just suck. I'm such an idiot. How could I let that happen? Like, we do this to ourselves. We blanket statement our lives. And this adds to our resiliency lowering, okay? So you guys are gonna start to notice this. You're all of a sudden you're really gonna notice how many people use blanket statements. You're really gonna notice that one. Okay, so I've got some inspiration for you here now. Some of the workshops that we do as we go forward, sometimes I give you a little piece of information, inspiration to end it. Sometimes I tell a fable story at the end. Sometimes I include a story, whatever it is to get us through and get us where we need to be with each workshop, okay? So here is your inspiration. I talk about Thomas Edison. I talk about Thomas Edison all the time because I love Thomas Edison. It has been said that Thomas Edison made thousands of prototypes of the incandescent light bulb before he finally got it right. And since the prolific inventor was awarded more than 1,000 patents, it's easy to imagine him failing on a daily basis in his lab, okay? In spite of struggling with failure throughout his entire working life, Edison never let it get the best of him. All of these failures, which are reported to be in the tens of thousands, simply showed him how not to invent something. See how we looked at that? How not to invent something. His resilience gave the world some of the most amazing inventions of the early 20th centuries, such as the phonograph, the telegraph, and the motion picture, and of course, the light bulb. It's hard to imagine what our world would be like if Edison had given up after his first few failures. His inspiring story forces us to look at our own lives. Do we have the resilience that we need to overcome our challenges? Or do we let our failures derail our dreams? And what could we accomplish if we had the strength not to give up? So I am telling you, read about Thomas Edison and the resilience that this man had to continually, if he can do that, and look at it. But you know what? I just kept learning how not to make a light bulb. So listen, we can do that as well. We can boost our resiliency by feeling and being inspired by a human being like that. So that is the end of resiliency. What I would love to know, was there anything, I'm gonna have you guys all chime in and let me know, what is it for you that really stuck out for you? What is it for you that showed up that you didn't realize had to do with resiliency? What is it for you? Jen, you've unmuted yourself first. You're first. What was it for you that really stood out with this particular workshop? Kind of hit home for you?
Well, the how am I acting or reacting question, and the no answers in chaos hit home for me.
Yeah.
And the blanket statements, which I kind of had an awareness of before, like I noticed it in other people because I was trying to stop doing it. But yeah, but also just tapping into my body and what it's saying, and just like taking the time to be present and to the emotions and what they're actually about. Not
amazing. Wow, Jen, this was a great workshop for you. I feel like there was a lot of stuff showed up for you. That's amazing.
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. Linda, what about you? What was it for you?
Well, I saw myself in a lot of this. This is a really good workshop because I feel it really hits where I've been at. And so I was asking myself why I felt my resilience was lower than it has been. I've been through a lot in life, and yet things seem to be getting harder this time. So I was questioning, was it my age? Is it, because I haven't been feeling well? Like I was questioning what exactly it was. And I think it's a combination of different things.
Yes.
And one thing that really hit home for me, and as you know, Heidi, when I got that news that Linda, Tamara's friend, had passed away, and I was with you guys, that moment took me right back to, oh my God, I think I'm going to cry.
Okay. Okay.
It's so weird how this, to when my husband died, and I was like, why did this take me back to that moment?
Yeah.
And then I realized it was a shock. It was unexpected. I was with friends, which I was when Barry died, and there were so many similarities. And it just really, and then I asked myself, did I really deal with that? Or did I shove it down? And I hadn't really dealt with it. And so it took me into a place of a lot of a personal insight into what was really going on. And the one thing I've noticed, because of course Richard and I are in a new relationship. So for me, being married 40 years and with my husband from the time I was 15, I was very much in a pattern. And so those patterns change. And one of the things that Richard comes from is a very judgmental family. It's never good enough. He said they always knocked you down because he was a brilliant student, but they always kept you knocked down so that you didn't feel like you were too special. And so it's a pattern that he's developed. And when he gets frustrated with things, he will pick at me. So he will say things to me like, you always leave your coffee cup upstairs in the bathroom. And it's like, no, I don't. I don't always leave it there. Is that all that, what did you say, that blanket statement?
Yeah.
And so I found that those things were really starting to build up, and I was getting really resentful. So then when I finally realized what it was, and I was able to express it to him, that it makes me feel inadequate, judged, and then we were able to discuss that, it was a really interesting conversation. Because to me, that little shit, who cares? Yeah. Like, take the bloody cup down for somebody. I don't care. But so it's those little things. And for me, it's like, don't sweat the small stuff, Richard. Some stuff just is not worth being upset about. And so that it's been a very insightful time for me. And, these PIPs are really wonderful because it's really walking me through that growth. And I'm loving it because I'm very insightful. I always look at, why am I doing that? Why am I feeling that way?
Yeah.
And so this is wonderful.
Linda, honestly, thank you so much for that vulnerability. I can't even tell you what it means to know that like a workshop like this is giving you such awareness for you to actually navigate this struggle that you've been going through. Like that's
Yes.
phenomenal, Linda.
I know. I'm so excited. Yes.
Amazingness. Oh my gosh, we're all growing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Heidi.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Andrew, what about you? What was it that really resonated with you? Like, wow. Okay. Here, I can unmute you. There you are.
There I am.
Yeah.
Embracing changes. I've had some major changes going on this year, and you know, I've you know, it's almost confusing going through some of this stuff. So the more I see the changes in my life, the more I love them, and the more I'm able to accept them at face value and just trust that these changes are going to take me to where I want to go. And to just stay committed, you know. I find it sometimes pretty easy to I'm not sure how to say it. In vulnerability, not be worthy of where I'm going right now. And just, you know, that leads into the next one, the positive self-talk. Just to affirm and reaffirm, you know what, I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing right now, and just embrace it.
Exactly. Well, when you go through a workshop like this and you see how important it is to have those affirmations in your life, to have that gratitude, you know, to not take yourself to that, you know, remembering those 4 S's. And the very first one is self. How are you viewing yourself? How do you see yourself? Are you the thriving survivor, or, you know, and people that are able to do, or are you the victim? Who are you? And you have to become very aware to build that resilience. So that's amazing. Thank you, Andrew. That's really important. Wow. Okay, Liz, what about you, hon?
Cute. I learned that I'm the queen of blanket statements, which my husband has always told me, because I use words like always a lot.
Yes. Nick just walked in and he's chuckling because I always say to him, like, enough.
You always say, yeah. So that's just so interesting to me, because I'm the queen of blanket statements. And I don't know that I ever was really aware, other than having conversations with my husband about it. He says, you always say always. And I'm like, okay, well, but you know me, I exaggerate. But what impact does that really have on people? Because to me, it's like, oh, that's my personality. I'm a big personality. I say always all the time and things like that. But that can have a real impact. So now I'm conscious of making blanket statements that could potentially be hurtful to somebody, even though that's not the way that I mean it.
Exactly. And you need to, if you look at the examples that we went through with the blanket statement, it's also hurting you. It's showing up negatively in your body. So you have to remember everything that you're saying. Your blanket statement, you know, saying that, you know, I didn't do very well on that project, instead of, you know what, I never do well on my projects.
Right.
You're putting yourself into that. It's removing that blanket statement and staying in that moment of what is it that I'm talking about here instead of this. Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's a
one,
and it has to do with this particular workshop. This is the one that seems to shock people, that these things have to do with
right.
You know? Excellent.
Yeah.
Karen, what about you? Thank you so much. Karen, what stood out for you?
Well, to continue talking about the blanket statements, I can relate to that also. I'm usually very careful when I choose my words when I'm talking to somebody, but in my mind, I would think, oh, this always happens or something like that. So I'm going to give myself the same courtesy and be more careful about thinking that way. Mm-hmm. And I also like the part about the second skin, because that's great, because that gives you a protective layer. So, you know, I've done affirmations for a long time, and, you know, saying things like that, like the example words that were given, do make me feel better, but I never really thought of it as an extra layer, you know, as a protection for when you go out into the world. So that's another way to think about it, which makes me want to do the affirmations even more.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Yay, Karen! That's second skin.
Yeah.
It's your superpower, guys. It's your total superpower. Those affirmations, they really are. Wow. Karen, that's amazing. This is amazing. Omid, what about you? What resonated with you today? What showed up?
I'm going to get total geeky on everybody here.
Okay.
But one of the things, it's going to sound crazy, but you know what? I am crazy, so it's okay. I just said something bad after I am. I should do. Anyway. One of the things, you know, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. And if you ever watch those movies and listen to some of the things, especially when Yoda's speaking, there's a lot of good life lessons in what he says. And one of the things when he's training Luke in the 5th movie, and then again, actually in the last movie, he repeated it, that, you know, you're never in the present. Your mind is always in the future. And, you know, that's something I'm very aware of for myself because of that. And I always catch myself, and it's something I struggle with every day. You know, sometimes I'm driving and I'm thinking about, okay, when I get to work, this is the first thing I got to do, then this is the thing. And then, you know, I get to a stoplight and I catch myself. I was like, okay, right now you're driving, you're not at work. So worry about that when you get there, you know, just concentrate on driving so you don't hit somebody right now. So that is something I struggle with, and it comes from you know, the Yoda example, and then now it's in this particular class, which was really interesting too. Cause
so guys, I'm really serious about, you know, for this next week, really start implementing into your life that being in the present moment in those trivial little things that we do day to day, like we do, you know, we're on, what do you call that? We're just on autopilot. Those autopilot moments in your life, I want you to start practicing bringing yourself into the present moment, because if you in those autopilot moments, you can really your life. Omid, thank you for that. Thank you for, I love Star Wars. I think we've all watched Star Wars. Amazing. Michelle, our lovely Michelle, one of her nicknames from the sales world is Yoda. And so, yeah, I just recently found that out. So, which I find amazing, because yes, she is that wise Yoda. You know what I mean? So that's amazing. So there we go, guys. Resiliency. We have just done our 3rd workshop. Yay for you guys. Congratulations.
Thank you, Heidi.
If you have any questions, if you need to chat more, if you need to chat further about anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Text is always the best. Not double N Jen, but the other Jen, she's learned very quickly that if she wants me to chat with her right away, like get right back to her, she's an early riser just like I am, and she texts me like first thing in the morning, like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like on my phone catching up PPA, so I'm like, oh, Jen! And I'm like, oh, she's caught on that she knows what to get me. Then I get right back to her. She's so funny. Okay, guys, well, you all have an amazing night.
Thank you, Heidi.
I am on vacation next week, so I will miss you all. But I will listen to the recording.
Yes.
Have a great time.
I will. Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye,
See you later.
Bye-bye.